ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'bracha. For blessings, for life, and for blessings. L'chaim. Peace is essential in Jewish life. To create peace between husband and wife, between friends, community members, and of Klal Yisrael. Peace is an essential element, so much so that at times you have to do away with truth in order to create peace. Right. In other words, if the truth is someone's really upset with your friend, you don't have to tell that to your friend. You'd say, they really want to make up with you. Because the truth is, deep down, they do want to make up. Right? But that's only with a friend. Huh?
They just don't know how to express it.
So the third party is helping them to find, right, the way.
Been there, been that. Without a third party.
But that's, of course, only when there's an inherent connection between people. They want peace. Like family, like friends, like the Jewish people. Right. But that doesn't mean you're making peace at all costs, because peace doesn't mean that it's going to last for a few moments. In other words, plainly said, if the Jewish people in Israel will put down their guns, we won't have peace. We'll have 8 million Jews slaughtered. That's what we'll have. So that's all called peace. But if the Arabs put down their guns in Gaza, right? They put down their guns. That's it, finish. No, thank you. They put down their guns. We'll have peace. So peace means that in the end there will be peace. Not that we're seeking a falsity in peace, when deep down people don't want peace. They don't want that. They've been so corrupted that it's not going to happen. And if they're not so corrupted, then the proof will be that that's what they're seeking, but they're not. But deep down, that's what the Jewish people want. They want peace. The only way you can do that, as Winston Churchill said, you want peace? Prepare for war. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We are in the 12th letter, and we began with the idea. We began with the idea of two angels above that have a different agenda, and there isn't peace between them. The angel Michol on the right, who is embodied by the idea of water, embodiment of water, chesed, indiscriminate giving. And on the left is Gavriel, who is fire, who is very discriminating and judging, discriminant, and therefore that's strength, power, fire. And the two don't get along. Either the water wants to put out the fire or the fire wants to evaporate water. And that's in their pristine state, the way they are. The attribute of chesed above, kindness, and the attribute of gvura, of strength above. Michol and Gabriel. Or some people in English, you call them Michael and Gabriel. But we'll call them Michol and Gabriel.
Two wings, eh?
L'chaim. So what creates peace? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He. He makes peace between them so that they not oppose one another. How? How does he do that? These are divine attributes of God. So illuminating such a powerful light, an immense light of the infinite Ein Sof, is revealed in them. As God's name is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He. Holy means removed, beyond, meaning a reflection of the infinite light of God, as opposed to an attribute of God. Even the attribute of Chachma, which is the first of the attributes of divine wisdom, which is what's responsible ultimately for begetting emotions. They're the source of and the root of emotions, right? But that they are divine attributes that have a definition to them. Therefore, they have a finite quality to it. Therefore, what's needed here is the infinite light of God that's beyond the two in order to radiate them in such a way that the chesed loses its strength of chesed, so to speak, and gvura loses its gvura. And they're no longer opposites of each other.
I like this analogy here.
And as the Alter Rebbe gives a metaphor, he gives a metaphor in front of the king. You have two ministers, and the two ministers have opposing agendas. One might be interested in agriculture. He's the minister of agriculture, so he's looking to spend money on, for the farmers so they can have better agriculture. Then you have the minister of finance. Well, he's looking to save money, to have greater finances for the king in perhaps a time of need or whatever it might be. So they have, the metaphor is enmity between them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're struggling between them, warring between them, perhaps even. Well, that's until they stand before the king. When they stand before the king, it all melts away because they're before the king. They ain't fighting in front of the king. So that is the metaphor over here. Likewise, the attribute, the divine attribute of chesed, the divine attribute of gvura, water and fire, Michol and Gabriel. They're standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before the king. All melts away. That because the light is so powerful of the king. The light is so powerful of God, of the Ein Sof, that the revelation of the particular attribute gives way. So what's the consequence of that? Okay. What's the consequence of that? The consequence is that now any kind of gvura means discriminating, which you get judgment. If there is a judgment upon us down here, when you elicit from HaKadosh Baruch Hu a light that now is incorporating the chesed and the gvura and into a, so to speak, new entities, we'll see in a moment, what you're doing is sweetening severity that might come from Gabriel, fire, right? As fire can be destructive, right? Mm-hmm. So you're transforming it You're mellowing the gvura. You're sweetening that which is bitter from the left side of gvura. And this is called the attribute of rachamim, of compassion, of mercy. The Kabbalists call it tiferes. Tiferes means beauty, because what we have on the right is the white color, and on the left, red. And so the idea of each attribute is its own color. It's its own, and it remains its own color. It wants to remain with its own perspective. But that's our beauty. If you only have one color, you have beauty. But when you have a blend of colors and they are properly, proportionately blended together, then you have something beautiful. So that's compassion. That is mercy. Chesed, right?
Action, beautiful.
You're harmonizing the diverse colors. And here you're actually harmonizing. What's diverse over here? Well, you have chesed that wants to give, but wants to give indiscriminately, and gvura that wants to be very discriminating and judging whether it's deserved or not. And compassion is actually taking both into consideration, and is bringing the two diverse qualities together as one. Because on the one hand, compassion means that there's a judgment here. You're not deserving. The judgment is saying. Because if you're deserving, then you don't get out of compassion. You get because you're deserving. But compassion means that you don't deserve, but yet you give, like chesed. So you have the two qualities here that are incorporated as one. And this then is the tetragrammaton, the name of God, Shem Havaya. Shem Havaya incorporates the two qualities, right? Yud K Vav K. Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, right? It is, when we see it in the Torah unqualified, it signifies Tiferes, divine compassion. And as the Zohar says, this is the essential name, Shema Etzem. So here, Tiferes, the infinite light of God, becomes manifest in an immense illumination, surpassing beyond the divine attributes, and therefore can incorporate opposite attributes. And that's how peace is made on high.
Right.
So he who makes peace on high, right? I say Shalom b'mreimav. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he makes peace on high, meaning that the infinite light of God incorporates the individual separate attributes, that each one has got its own calling, right? Its own, and we see that by people, right? We see that the person who is like kind to a fault because they give indiscriminately, right, is very different than the person who is very calculated, very discriminating, not in a bad way. I'm talking about in a very positive way, very discriminating in who they give and how they give, right? They're very different qualities, and those two people, I mean, they can get along, but not in that area. They won't get along. They won't get along because they're going to see, they're going to see Shmerel and his situation, and one will be indiscriminate in giving, and the other will be discriminating, and then, if they have, monies collectively together and how to give it, they're going to have different points of view of it. But it can create a conflict, exactly. But if there's a higher quality that is emerging from on high, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the tetragrammaton, the essential name of God, that is incorporating the two, because this light is greater than the individual light of any one of them, then what will come out from that is compassion, which is incorporating both qualities. And with that, hi. Any questions? Yeah, we haven't said hello to people for a while. Let's say hello. Irma in St. Martin, Alcoya's in Lima, Peru, John in North Carolina, Vincent in Alberta, Julia's in Ohio, Tim is in Texas, David in Lima, New York, Clem in Brisbane, Australia, Joe in Washington, June in Australia. Yes, I forget now. Daphne in South Carolina. Michael is in Germany.
Germany or Belgium?
Germany. Unless he moved last night. Chava, Celeste in Boulder, Colorado. Mark in Santa Rosa, California. Does not Hashem say, leave no one to retaliate? Oh, it depends. It depends. In Canaan, yes, in the Battle of Canaan, but otherwise not necessarily. Nancy is in Boston. Lori in North Carolina, right? Not South, if I recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Leah is in Florida. Mordecai in Massachusetts. Annie in Costa Rica, I think. Rena in Colorado. Diane or Devorah Chana, Pennsylvania. Silas. Carmen is in Texas. Susan is, where are you, Susan? Cindy in Florida. Elizabeth is with us in Florida, I think, yes? Charisse is Chaviva. You're in Israel, aren't you? Eugenia in Calgary. Elizabeth in Florida. Yes, North Carolina. Okay. Amy is in Colorado, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And we have Rachel in South Carolina. Some others I can't make out. All right. I don't see any questions. I guess there's clarity. What's the take home today? Compassion, pity. Yeah, it's a very powerful yeah, Andrew, for Tanya, there's no Zoom. Sorry. Um just because of the recording and stuff. Yeah. So compassion.
The compassion should be meted out only to those persons who deserve it. And that's the whole point.
Well, I that sounds like a contradiction in terms. Like the guy, how do you, what does it mean to deserve it?
Look at those characters in the Hamas. They deserve passion.
Yeah, but I don't know if the word deserve is the right word. Um,
Or
let,
extend
let,
it
let me
to.
no let me explain. I understand what the word what you're saying, but I wouldn't use that word deserve, right?
Should be
Uh,
extending the compassion towards them.
right. No, where it's going to be helpful. Deserve is not the right word because that's a hard. Who your compassion will be helpful rather than detrimental. So, for example, to be compassionate to a drug addict, a gambling addict, right, alcoholic, to give them money, you're not being helpful, you're being detrimental, right? So to be helpful to a murderer, to let them free, you're not being helpful to them because you're allowing them to become. Forget about what they'll wreak havoc and what harm they could do to others, right? For themselves, you're not being helpful to allow them that they could murder again, right? If they weren't rehabilitated, and you're going to let them out, or you're going to give them freedom, so you're not being helpful to them. So the compassion, forget about the impact even. For them, it's not, right? Oh, they may want the freedom. Oh, okay, so yeah. Yeah, a dog doesn't want to be cooped up in the house, wants to go free also, but just because you want something doesn't make it that it's good for you. Now, for a dog, it is, but not for a killer, right? A killer dog also, it's not good. But so, in other words, if you're going to help that person by being compassionate, so you're right, to be compassionate to Hamas is not being helpful to them, let alone the fact that what they will wreak havoc and murder innocent people. Right. So, but even for their own sake, not their own sake on how they perceive their, what they want, right? But what's good for them?
Maybe it's to get rid of them altogether.
Oh, absolutely. Again, if they want to be rehabilitated, you know how they do that? Lay down your guns, right? Lay down your guns. I want to be rehabilitated. I don't want to be an evil doer. I do not want to do this. I've been caught in a society or by a group of people that kind of, compelled me, forced me in whatever you will. And I don't want to be this way. Okay, fine. Then there's room for rehabilitation for such a person. When a person doesn't want to be rehabilitated, wants to be a murderer, then the law of the Torah is that you must kill that person before they kill somebody else. It's not like that you could choose to kill that person. It's not a choice, it's an obligation. Now, someone has got a gun and is going after somebody with their gun. An obligation is to stop that person. They're going after an innocent person. What's the proof that's an innocent person? What's the proof? Well, because you're going after a person with a gun, who made you judge and jury to kill this person? Right? You're going after that person. So your life now is actually called nothing. And we are obligated. You're called, actually, you have no blood, the verse says. You have no blood. You're obligated to stop that person. Now, if you can stop that person by just, cutting them off at the legs, and do that. But the only way to stop them is to kill them, then you have to kill them. Right?
She only follow that rule, right?
Yeah, that's what should be followed, very much. Ken is in Colorado, watching with us. Vincent.
If we would find ourselves in a society where we don't have to um, put those obligations into effect. That would be the better thing, that people are observing the
Yeah, but
law.
you have to want rehabilitation. If you don't want rehabilitation, that's a problem, right? Wasn't Avraham embodiment of Chesed, Yitzchak embodiment of Gvura, Yaakov embodiment of Tiferes? Yes, absolutely correct, Davida. Yeah, absolutely. All right, amazing, all of you. All right, we're going to go to Rambam. For those who didn't get a chance to come to yesterday's class, Torah studies, you can get it on YouTube, Tanya Rabbi, amongst many other good things, and watch it. Rambam coming right up. Please join us. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad, Zichron, Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing